Shit making, poor killing, bomb dropping, sick lying, cruel backing, money printing, people fucking bankers. Safe from bankruptcy thanks to slave population of Earth. Pakistan Army assaults Imaji ban, fantasy ban, Taliban positions insult to President Obama. Civilian Afghan death toll from US airstrike likely to exceed something or other, says heartless inhuman spin doctor. In the UK, DNA database ruling completely ignored by fascist police state lunchroom monitor Jackie Smith. Hello, bill-paying masses. Welcome to the fucking news. I'm papering over the cracks. Here are the headlines tonight. Stress tests on America's largest banks show that many of them need more funds. The tests were designed to gauge whether any of the nation's largest banks would need more capital to survive a deeper recession. What a surprise! It turns out they do. Wells Fargo and Amco, Citigroup Inc. and Bank of America Corp. all need billions more, and you know where they're going to get it. Ha ha ha! Raising the money should be no problem for the shysters, bankers, as the debt slaves of America are still bent over, cheeks parted, ready to deliver themselves and their children's children into bondage and subservience to the fake economy and the few wealthy banking families that own their assets. Asses. Such willingness to be slaves for the benefit of failed businesses that should, according to the free market, be more bankrupt than a South Sea bubble is contrasted by our lack of desire to help humans suffering. As Achim Steiner, Executive Director of the UN Environment Programme, told the BBC One Planet programme, Mr. Steiner fought for years to secure small sums to tackle poverty and climate change. He says, "We waited perhaps a decade to get $5 billion to accelerate development of renewable energy, while within a year over $11 trillion has been spent on bank bailouts in the UK and US alone. We now see $20 billion paid to a car company simply to keep it alive." Mr. Steiner urged the public not to be sold the false story of banks having to be fixed before they worry about other issues like, avoiding mass extinction, agricultural collapse, third world poverty, but who gives a fuck about that? When we need banks to lend us money to live in houses that trap us into consumerism and dependence on shopping, loans to buy cars that spew poison and cost the earth, and big TVs to watch the mindfuck that persuades us it's all okay. More on that story later. Pakistani helicopter gunships and warplanes have been bombing suspected Taliban militants, aka civilians, in the Swat Valley of Pakistan. Pakistan is the nuclear state most likely to be invaded to start World War III. Save the world from nuclear-armed brown people. Extremists. US President Barack Obama vowed to promote Al-Qaeda and its imaginary allies in Pakistan and Afghanistan, going on not to say, "None of the people fighting against us are just pissed off local people. Tired of America throwing its weight around. Every single one of them is a fully paid up, card-carrying member of whatever organization I say they are. Of course, you would find it unacceptable for us to simply kill people, but killing people in an organization is so much more palatable. So, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban forever, and long live the names of groups we're allowed to kill, and no one mention the individuals, okay?" Obama was speaking after talks in Washington with imaginary Afghan President Hamid Karzai and puppet Pakistani President Aziz Ali Zardari. In a related story, Afghans have staged an angry protest following the suspected deaths of up to 100 civilians in a US-led air raid in western Farah province. If the casualties are confirmed, it would be the largest loss of civilian life in a single attack since US troops invaded Afghanistan in 2001. General David McKiernan, the top US military commander in Afghanistan, has raised doubts on Wednesday about whether it was an American airstrike that caused the deaths and has launched an inquiry into how civilians die so easily. He did not tell FKNNEWZ Newz that "we're looking into reports that the Taliban are letting people get blown up by our bombs and then blaming us for dropping them. We have some of our best people investigating whether or not we can blame someone else for this, and we hope that soon that is exactly what we'll be able to do. Thank you." In the UK, DNA profiles of almost 1 million innocent people will be kept on a database for up to 12 years, in spite of a legal ruling that the UK database breaks the law. The DNA profiles of up to 850,000 innocent people will eventually be removed from the database following a European court ruling. Commons leader Harriet Harman said the plan's critics were against justice, and that only by having everybody in jail, I mean on our database, can the police deal with crime without having to lift a finger, allowing them to concentrate on beating protesters to death, fining motorists and enforcing bin collection regimes on behalf of fascist bureaucratic councils up and down the country. Jackie Smith, Secretary of State and the person responsible for upholding law and order in the country, said that by ignoring European laws, she was setting a good example to villains in this country. After all, it's our right to decide for ourselves which laws we like and don't like in it. Anyway, if you have nothing to hide, you have plenty to fear, since your government will soon have your DNA, bank account, telephone calls, internet use, email, medical records and school reports on one big disk they can lose on the train to Brighton one day. Thanks, and now the weather. Over here in the USA, brainwashed complicity in the war on error, ignorance, lack of respect for and about other cultures in the world's biggest military will lead to showers of bombs around the Middle East, with dead women and children, clouds of quizzling, squirming, blame shifting and a great deal of hypocrisy. Have a nice weekend. FKNNEWZ 2009 Season 1 now available on widescreen, high quality DVD.